Welcome back to the main events of Italian diplomatic activity abroad. Foreign Minister Antonio Tajani has cancelled his planned visit to the United States, which was scheduled for Sunday and Monday to attend a business forum in Miami alongside US Secretary of State Rubio. The head of the Italian Foreign Ministry explained that he had taken the decision following what he described as serious and offensive remarks by President Trump against Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, which offend all of Italy. The US President claimed that he had agreed to take a photograph with the Prime Minister during the G7 summit in Evian, only after being urged to do so by Meloni. The Italian Prime Minister firmly rejected the allegation, calling the statement completely unfounded. The agreement between the United States and Tehran on a ceasefire in the Middle East was one of the key topics addressed by Minister Tajani during the latest question time session in the Chamber of Deputies in June 17. During his remarks, he also announced the restoration of Italy's diplomatic presence in the Iranian capital, Tehran.
L'intesa raggiunta nella notte di domenica tra Stati Uniti
The agreement reached Sunday night between the United States and Iran is an encouraging development that we have welcomed with favor and hope. In a complex region like the Middle East, caution is obviously required, but for the first time after weeks of war and wavering negotiations, a concrete glimmer of peace can be glimpsed today. For this reason, I am pleased to announce before this Parliament that the doors of our embassy in Tehran will reopen. The offices of the Italian Trade Agency will also reopen. Our ambassador will return to the Iranian capital along with all diplomats and officials of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Diplomatici e funzionari del Ministero degli Esteri.
On June 15, Foreign Minister Tajani took part in the Foreign Affairs Council in Luxembourg. The war in Ukraine was the first item of the agenda, with Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha joining discussion via video link. Italy reaffirmed its commitment to supporting Kyiv, while Tajani reiterated Italy's backing for Ukraine's European path and future reconstruction efforts. Regarding the situation in the Middle East, the Foreign Minister confirmed Italy's position in favor of de-escalation and its commitment to the stability of Lebanon. A further session focused on relations between the European Union and China, with particular attention to Beijing's role in global security and developments in the Indo-Pacific region. The second stop of the Expo Goal Obiettivo Expo roadshow was held at the Fiera del Levante Exhibition Center in Bari on June 16, as part of the lead-up of the National Expo Conference scheduled to take place in Milan this December. The initiative is dedicated to businesses in southern Italy, which exported goods worth €48.2 billion in 2025, accounting for 7.5% of Italy's total exports. More than 500 representatives from the business community attended the event, taking part in over 500 meetings between companies and institutions of the Sistema Italia network. Discussions focused on export support instruments, the contribution of southern regions to Italy's international growth, and the role of startups, innovative SMEs, and large corporations in developing technology supply chains. On June 19th, Minister Tajani opened the oath-taking ceremony for 46 newly appointed diplomatic officers from the Boris Biancheri Chiappori training program. The oath marks the final stage of their training, during which the new diplomatic officers took part in educational missions in Italy and abroad, international conferences, and joint training programs with the armed forces, diplomats from other countries, and representatives of private sector organizations. Deputy Foreign Minister Edmondo Cirielli traveled to New York to participate in the 7th Global Conference of the Implementation of Sustainable Development Goal 16, SDG 16, dedicated to strengthening institutions and the rule of law. Organized by the Italian Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, UNDESA, and the International Development Law Organization, IDLO, at the United Nations headquarters, the conference reaffirmed Italy's leadership on issues related to rule of law, human rights, justice, and the fight against corruption. On June 15 in London, Under-Secretary of State to Foreign Affairs Maria Tripodi met with UK Minister of State for Trade Chris Bryant. After reviewing the excellent state of bilateral relations, discussion focused on economic security, particularly critical raw materials and economic and trade cooperation. The United Kingdom continues to be a market of primary importance for Italian businesses, with more than 2,000 Italian companies operating in the country, and remains a key destination for investment. At the crisis unit of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Minister Tajani presented the new Safe Travel Viaggiare Sicuri campaign for summer 2026, encouraging Italians traveling abroad to make use of the ministry's updated information tools. The initiative aims to provide citizens with all information they need to travel as safely as possible around the world through the Viaggiare Sicuri website and the recently upgraded Viaggiare Sicuri mobile app. On the evening of June 14, an event celebrating the achievement of the Roots Tourism Turismo delle Radici program was held in the square outside the Foreign Ministry headquarters 4 years after its launch. Among the approximately 1,000 participants were Italian consuls from around the world who had gathered in Rome for their annual meeting. Promoted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and funded through Italy's Nations Recovery and Resilience Plan, PNRR, the initiative aims to strengthen ties with the more than 80 million Italians and people of Italian descent living abroad. The program has recorded steady growth, increasing from 6.6 million visitors in 2024 to a projected 7.4 million in 2026, with spending expected to exceed 5.5 billion euros. And that's all for now. Thanks for your attention, and stay tuned.